The deal, y'all. It's Antonio here. I'm going to be doing something a little bit different today. I'm going to be showing you a little bit into my editing process, and I really want to help you guys edit like a pro in 2021. This is a great opportunity to actually show you guys a little bit into my editing style and show you how things work when I'm doing my workflow. So I'm just going to jump right into it. I'm not going to waste too much of your time. It's going to be a little bit of a longer video than normal. So first thing I like to do, well, just let me introduce you to the photo. This is a friend of mine, Timothy Bell. He's an amazing singer and artist and all that good stuff. He stays pretty much kind of like where I stay. And he was one of my clients, so I'm going to show you guys how I edit photos like his and other people's photos. I do it all in Photoshop. It takes a little bit longer. You can see up here, this is where my camera is, what my camera is, and how I'm shooting. This is a raw file. And I happen to use Photoshop, the 2017 version, because my computer won't update to the newer one. So these are just some things that I wanted to introduce you guys to before we get down to the editing. The first thing I always like to do is warm the image up. If you see right here, like where it was, it's definitely colder. I wanted to make sure the image focuses on him and his face. If you see right here, there's a little bit of an overexposure towards the nose. So we're going to bring down the highlights a little bit to kind of lessen that. Again, we kind of want there to be a differentiation between the background and him. So what we do is we bring up the contrast just a little bit, bring it up to about 20, and just so we can differentiate between him and the background. It doesn't look as meshed together. One thing I also like to do, because I'm very detail oriented when it comes to my images, is to adjust the clarity, make sure we bring out his face. He has a lot of interesting characteristics to his face, and I kind of want to bring that out. Of course, we're going to decrease the shadows as well, just so we have, again, differentiation between the background and the subject at hand. So these are some basic things that I do. In Photoshop, camera raw does come up first. We're going to bring the sharpness up as well. We want all of our images to look sharp, and we want them to look classy, and make them look nice at the end of the day. And this is the crop. So what we do here is with the crop, we're going to crop it in Photoshop instead of in Camera Raw. But next thing what we're going to do is we're going to take the image and we're going to put it in Photoshop directly, and I'm going to wait for it to load, and here we go. First thing we always want to do is make a copy of the image, so that way we're not working just with the original, we're working with a copy, so that way we can turn things off, and we're going to make a lot of copies during this whole process. First thing I like to do with all of my images, especially when I'm working with a person's face, is to pull up the spot corrector. So that's this thing right here. It looks like a Band-Aid. And so what we're going to do now is we're going to deep dive in, and we are going to correct the blemish. A lot of the blemishes on the face. So we're going to leave his moles alone because those are natural. But when it comes to like acne, things like that, we are going to take a lot of that out. And a lot of times if it doesn't go, all you have to do is make the actual cursor smaller, and it should adjust appropriately. We're going to get underneath his eyes here, and don't worry if you see like a little circle like that, because what we're going to do next, you're not going to even be able to notice it or tell. So, but again, we're going to leave these moles here. I'm going to zoom in simply because we want to make sure that we get as much of the acne as possible off of him. And we all have acne. If you zoomed in on my face, you would see that I had acne. If you zoom in on most people's faces, you will see that they have some kind of blemish there. But for purposes of a headshot, for purposes of a photograph that's going to be used in like a professional commercial setting, you want to remove as much of that as possible. So let's see. So this is where, if you look, this is where we are now. So I've done like the first side of his face. This is where we were. This is where we are now. Okay. And so we're going to continue the process here. So boom, boom, boom. And we're going to make the skin look not as oily. He was sweating a little bit during the photo shoot, which is understandable. The studio that I sublet is a little warmer than normal. So yeah, this is my friend Tim. He's a great musician, man. This guy is like amazing. His music is amazing. I might include some of his music in the actual description. I'm going to take this line off also. It doesn't really serve a purpose, it's just a frown line. Going on here, so I'm going to take those off, and then we're going to work on this side of his face. I think we're kind of like done here. Let's take off some of this stuff, some of these blotches, and we're going to make him look like a completely different person when everything is said and done. Yeah, you can see like that's before, that's after. So we're getting the big stuff out of the way as far as acne goes. We're not going to keep all of them. Some of them aren't appealing. And if you can see, I used a very detailed lens. I used 24 by 70, and so you can see like the detail of the eyes is really there. It's it's that. And so what we're going to do is we're going to make another layer. Now that we've got a lot of the acne off, we're going to make another layer. Okay. Second thing we're going to do is we're going to start this process of smoothing out his skin. Fairly simple process. We're going to start the process of like smoothing out his skin, making sure it's nice and supple, and it matches, who he is as a person. We're going to also even out the skin tone, also, and make sure that is looking nice and suave. I clicked on some of his skin there, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete that layer. I'm going to make another layer because it always looks weird when you delete something and then start the process of evening out the skin tone. It always looks like they have scaly skin when you do that in the existing layer. So that's another reason why I put that another background layer there. So first thing you're going to do is going to hit Command I. If you have a MacBook, you're going to hit Command I. And you're going to go here and you're going to select Vivid Light. Alright, and so with Vivid Light, it's going to look weird. It's going to look like maybe he doesn't know what he's doing. But then you're going to go to Filter here, and you're going to go to Other, and you're going to go to High Pass. Right? And then once you go to High Pass, it's going to look really blurry here. You're going to keep your high passes around 24. And from from there, you're going to go to where it says blur, and then Gaussian blur. That. And so basically what it is it's evening out this skin tone on its own. But you really can't have your image looking like that. So what you're going to do is you're going to press Alt and you're going to press this little doohickey right here. And it looks like it's just the same. But wait until you pull up your paintbrush. You pull up your paintbrush here. And then what you're going to do is you're going to brush across the skin. And if you could see, it's evening out the skin tone. And if you want it to be super even, super matte, you can increase your opacity, you can increase your flow, and you can work it that way. Blemish free, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this smaller because I want to avoid hitting any of the moles. I think the moles do add character to his skin. Yeah, I definitely want to miss the moles, so I'm going to go around them. And, you know, we're going to make sure we get underneath. We don't want to hit spots that normally would be like wrinkled or anything like that. Like the nose, you kind of want to leave the nose alone. Like, you know, maybe the bridge. You want to do the bridge, but the rest of the nose, you kind of want to leave that it by itself. You can see here, you can definitely see the difference in quality. Yeah, so boom, boom, right. So come around here also. Around his eyes. We're gonna make his eyes pop too, so stick tight. We're not gonna leave his eyes hanging. And we're gonna also make his beard pop also, so he has really nice eyes, so as you can see, this is not the finished product here, but we kind of are a little bit closer. We're going to leave his lips alone. Those are natural as they are. And we're going to come a little bit underneath. Yeah, there we go. Then you're going to mess with his hands a little bit. What you're going to do with the hands, though, you're going to bring the opacity down. I want the hands to be as smooth as the face. The hands, at the end of the day, they're used for working, they're used for all kinds of things like that. But I kind of want them to be a little bit smoothed out. Then what you're going to do is, like, for this particular image, I noticed here that he had a little bit of sweat spots right here. Like, he had a sweat spot right here, I believe there's a sweat right here. And so what we're going to do is you're going to use this little doohickey spot correction. that. We have his face smoothed out a little bit. We're going to bring out the hair in the eyes. One thing that I always like to do is make sure that the eyes are in a good line of sight. And we're going to go to filter, and we're going to go to, well, actually what we're going to do, we're going to make another layer. Right? Then we're going to go to filter, we're going to go to camera raw. So the same camera raw that we were in at the beginning is the same camera raw we're going to go into now. We're going to hit this little brush here. This is your little correction brush. And what you're going to do here for his eyes, we're going to make this eye pop, right? But we want both of the eyes to pop. So what we're going to do is we're going to make it a little smaller. If you can look right here, you see this side is already popped. So let's bring it out on this side. Colorful hair and beard, so we're going to do that as well. I'm going to hit OK. Right, and then so with that, we are not done yet, because what we're going to do next is we're going to take our brush. We're going to make our brush a little bit bigger. Hardness down so it doesn't look like. Then we're going to change our brush as well. So at the end of the day, this is the image. So this is what we are going to put on our Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, please subscribe, or give it a thumbs up, and would love to see your feedback. Let me know what you think, and I really appreciate you guys. Have a good day, and thanks for joining.